Welcome in, Renegades. And today we have a special guest, Jordan Lass from Demergent Labs. He has brought some very, very large coding languages to the internet computer, which I think is one of the main reasons that the internet computer has the technical capabilities that it does, is because these massive coding languages that you use to just deploy any regular HTTPS. And this is pretty cool to see on the internet computer. We have the most technically competent blockchain of all of them. And I'm going to quit boring you. We're going to get into what is actually going on here. So welcome in, Jordan. It's great to see you.
Good to see you too.
So I want to thank you for coming on the show. I really appreciate everything that you've done for the ICP community, bringing these large coding languages to the internet computer. That's pretty massive. And it's kind of made the internet computer what it is, along with the other coding languages that have been brought in that match up with Motoko. So I think that's really cool. Just kind of introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your project, and just introduce Demergent Labs to our viewers.
Sure. Yep. Jordan Lass, Demergent Labs. We are a small team building fundamental open source developer tools such as JavaScript environment, Python environment for the internet computer. Basically, I am a software developer engineer, and I just absolutely love open source. I love permissionless innovation. And so, yeah, I get to basically live my dream, just doing open source basically all day, every day, not weekends usually. And yeah, so ICP I found about, 7 years ago in 2017. Same time I found Ethereum, same time I basically entered the crypto space. I've been following the project ever since. So.
You said 2017?
Yeah, that's when I first decided to look into what actually is Bitcoin, what actually is Ethereum. And right around the same time is when I found the Dfinity web page, and I was like, what the heck is this? And started listening to Dominic Williams. He had some podcasts I think it was mostly podcasts he was on, explaining his vision for basically unbounded virtual machines. And it really, 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 really jived with what I was learning at university at the time. And his idea was to extend the internet protocols to basically have computation and storage, which they don't have. And that really, really, that just captured my mind and heart a little bit.
It's impressive. The same with me. I really started looking into the capabilities of crypto, and I think a lot of us started out with Ethereum. It's the biggest, smart contract platform. And so once you start actually researching what it does, I never even knew that it was capable of doing as much as it can. And then I saw the internet computer, and it literally, I call it rebuilding the internet. So basically what it's doing is upgrading the internet. So it's going from a regular McDonald's meal to supersized. And what it does is basically encrypt all of the internet into a giant firewall-esque type deal. So how did you start building on the internet computer? So you found Dfinity, which was before they were actually ICP. It was still the Dfinity coin way back then, right?
I think so. There wasn't. Yeah. I think it wasn't publicly tradable, and I think it was called DFN at the time. Yep.
Okay. Well, tell us how you said it was kind of similar to what you were doing before, but how did the idea, you're like, okay, the internet computer has capabilities of building these large coding languages. I want to be the one to bring it there. I get imposter syndrome sometimes, when I'm doing some amazing stuff, going to these big events and having people like you on the channel. I feel like I'm not worthy. How did you get over that? I'm the one who's going to bring these coding languages there. And then why did you do that on the internet computer? I know it's kind of a weird question, but.
No, it's a good question. So let's see. I think it's just my personality. I don't like working for other people. I never wanted to, I guess near the end of my university studies, I didn't want to just go to a big tech company and just be a cog in their machine. I've always loved just building my own stuff. It's part of why I love computer science and engineering is I can take whatever idea I want and just go for it. So I had already been doing that. Actually, Bob Bodley and I, we went to college together basically and started an education technology company. And I was the software co-founder basically. And so I was in charge of the front end, the back end. Are we going to use AWS? Are we going to use some other kind of service? Are we going to use JavaScript? Are we going to use Typescript? What frameworks are we going to use on the front end? All that stuff. And it turns out that stuff, I mean, it already sounds complicated if you're not technical, but then even being technical, it's so complicated to get all the stuff to fit together, and it never works correctly. Like, if you want to scale, it's extremely difficult to get this stuff to scale appropriately. And like, you might start with one service, which is just fine for, when your application is small, I suppose. But then as you keep adding more features, or you prepare for more users, which, if you're small, you generally don't need to worry about that. But the point is, you just outgrow things really quickly, and it gets really complicated. And I was kind of fed up with that. I was like, well, why can't we just write programs and have them just work? And I think most engineers, or a lot of engineers, feel this way. And that's kind of what all these frameworks and tools are trying to do. It's like a lot of them are trying to be the end-all be-all tool. But there was nothing like that necessary for cloud that was actually working out. But the Internet Computer promised, like the vision was to be infinitely scalable, open cloud platform. It's not owned and controlled by one entity. The idea is it can just scale without bound. And so I thought, man, if we could just implement all this crazy stuff I'm doing right now on something like the Internet Computer, or Dfinity at the time, I mean, that'd be like the ultimate scaling solution. It'd be super secure. It'd be amazing. So I was really coming at it from like a cloud computing perspective, or, like back-end web services. I just wanted to get my web services on those back ends, or on a back end like the Internet Computer. So that's when I started to talk to Bob about the Internet Computer back in like 2017, 2018, because I was hoping it would come out in time for us to move everything over to it, but we were way too early, unfortunately. Then in like 2019, and what I would do is my family lived in the San Francisco Bay Area at the time. That's where I grew up. So I would go visit them, and then I'd go to like Dfinity or blockchain events. So I tried to go to like every event I could. I ended up going to the Dfinity headquarters, just kind of like begging to talk to someone because I wanted to just understand the technical capabilities and prepare to build something. And finally in 2019, they launched an SDK, like the first DFX command line tools. They launched an alpha of that. So I was able to actually build a simple prototype of something in Motoko and actually deploy it to their test network. And that was pretty cool. I was like, oh man, this is actually running. Nice. Like I couldn't verify anything, so I was a little skeptical. I'm always skeptical. I like to very, very much prove to myself that some things are what they seem. So I was a little skeptical that it was even real. It's like, well, we don't have any information about this, but hey, at least it was running, which was really cool. Then I was begging for the Rust CDK because honestly, I'm just not a fan of Motoko. I'm not a fan of making new languages. So I was waiting for them to release the Rust CDK, which they did, I believe, in like September or October, around that time in 2020. And once I got my hands on the Rust CDK, because Rust is an amazing language that I wanted to definitely learn at the time, I pulled in a library, a very popular library called GraphQL, and I compiled it down into WebAssembly using the Dfinity tools. It deployed it, probably locally at first, and then ran a GraphQL query. So this was like a complete Web 2 thing to do. Nothing like Internet Computer specific. It was just like a normal Web 2 thing. And it worked. And it blew my mind. Like, oh my goodness, this is working. Like the things I was thinking that I might be able to build are actually, it looks like it might be possible. And I tweeted about that, and then just, I don't know, kept, just doing little toy things. And that's kind of what started my first grant, which was to build a database around that GraphQL concept, which is called pseudograph. Did that grant in 2021, and then at the end of 2021 and moving into 2022, I started my company Demergent Labs to, I guess, go even further and bring JavaScript and Python and to the internet computer. We've kind of abandoned the GraphQL project, but in a way, it's because we can enable almost the same thing by just enabling JavaScript and Python, because those libraries already exist in those ecosystems. So, yeah, that's a roundabout or long-winded story, but that's kind of what happened.
No, that makes sense, man. I'd love to hear that kind of journey that you had, because we all have our journey in crypto, and you're the real deal, man. You've brought some amazing accomplishments. We all look up to you in the community, and just tell us a little bit about these kind of coding languages and what they benefit. You said basically you built a database around the GraphQL. You brought these other coding languages, and it's basically to help other people to build stuff, right, on the internet computer. So just kind of go into that a little bit.
Sure. So there are so many programs. I mean, you know how there's like thousands or tens of thousands of cryptocurrencies, right? And most of them are completely useless, right? There's a few that shine. It's the same thing with programming languages. There are tons and tons and tons of programming languages. People make them for fun. People make them for research. And only a few of them are, in my opinion, extremely useful because of their network effect. Because you get millions, tens of millions of people to all use the same language. That gives you a super robust language over time, because tons of people are finding bugs in the compilers or the interpreters. You get, tutorials, you get blog posts, you get, YouTube channels, you get conferences. You build up, after decades of a language existing, you just have so much support. It's like moving to a city that already exists. Oh, cool, there's a grocery store. We have running water. We have electricity. This is awesome. Versus going and settling, the tundra in Alaska or something. Some people like that. And I kind of like that too. It sounds fun, but I don't know. Depends on your stage of life. It depends, I don't know, right now, it might not be the best time for you to go do that. You just want to get something done.
Right.
That's what JavaScript is. That's what Python is. These are robust, already settled languages. And Motoko is not that, or it's getting more mature over time, right? So, but Motoko is a new settlement. You don't have all the infrastructure, you don't have all the tooling, you don't have all the libraries. So, you might be fine with that, because there's advantages to that. You can breathe clean air, you can have beautiful views, but you'll have to, go to the bathroom outside or something. So, my goal at the moment is to bring these languages that are already amazing, that already have tens of millions of developers using them, that are, in my opinion, like JavaScript is, objectively speaking, it's possibly the most popular language in the world. And combine it with TypeScript, I think it's one of the best languages. It has a lot of problems, but it's fun. It's fun to work with, and tons of people love Python. So let's bring those languages over. And I say we should bring as many languages as people want to bring. So people are bringing, even though I don't really like C++ because it's so difficult to use. I prefer Rust, but that's fine. We can have a C++ CDK, which exists, and whatever languages people want. By the way, if anyone watching this wants to build we call it a canister development kit. If you want to build one that doesn't exist, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to work with any team and share everything we've learned over the last basically like 2.5 years building these two CDKs. We've learned a lot. We've kind of wasted a lot of time going down some dead ends, but I think we're getting near the end of we're getting close to 1.0 on the JavaScript one. So
yeah, and we need more collaboration in the community, especially with large projects. And I'm sure a lot of the projects on ICP watch this channel. A lot of the guys are my friends, and I think that it's so important what you're doing. It brings basically what you're doing is developing a new Tundra. So like in Alaska, I'm sure Anchorage didn't start out as like a big city, right? So it got developed over time. But I love that analogy because, like, yes, you get the fresh air, you get the, you know, solitude, but you got to hunt for your food. You know, you got to keep warm, you got to make your own shelter. So I believe you taking like a city and basically traveling it to another, you know, to a tundra, moving a city to the tundra. I think that works better than just trying to build, you know, a new infrastructure. And I think that's so important for our audience to hear in projects that are building. What is your guys' next plan? I know you have some big stuff. We talked about your Azle 1.0 when I met you in Nashville. What is your guys' big reveal? Do you have any alpha for us today?
So the next step for Azle is the release candidate. That's just going to be the most robust version of the project that exists so far. I'm really hoping to get that done in the next few weeks. So it's going to be very robust and hopefully on the path to 1.0 very shortly thereafter. 1.0, I hope to get done by the end of this year, 2024. And 1.0 for Azle means like the core internet computer APIs. If you want to build internet computer smart contracts, basically, that stuff will be extremely robust. What comes after that is enabling basically all the libraries. NPM is the node package manager, one of the biggest open source package managers that exist in the world. We want to enable all of that. HTTP servers, SQL databases, Postgres, WASM, anything. If you, because lots of devs come and they ask, hey, will this package work? Hey, can I just copy paste my Express app or my Node app? And we have to say, well, it might work, you know, go try it out. You'll probably have to rewrite some things. I don't want to do that anymore. Like that's annoying to have to tell people. So the idea is to enable, the vision of the internet computer is to enable blockchain singularity, which is all software is going to be running on this thing. So we want to do our part for the JavaScript and Python ecosystems. That's going to be a very, very difficult effort. We have a good chunk of that working already, but it's experimental at the moment. So.
And so bringing this Azle 1.0, do you plan to onboard like a lot of developers from this? Is this basically just building the infrastructure? Is there a marketing plan to get people to use this? Because it sounds like it's a pretty, you know, robust network that has a lot going for it, and that would allow, you know, Web 2 developers to come to the internet computer. Now they have to learn Motoko, is that correct, to be able to interact with this coding language, right? So it's just one small step for them. Is there a plan to get people to start using Motoko? Are you doing boot camps? What is your plan to get those Web 2 developers over?
Yeah, so they don't have to learn Motoko. That's like they could just learn JavaScript and Python is the main purpose. So,
okay, that's
so
cool.
Right now, what we're doing is we go to conferences. We've gone to various conferences across the United States, in Canada, in Latin America, and we've mostly been focusing on Ethereum-based conferences. We had one like a completely ICP-focused conference that was pretty awesome. Our strategy, though, is mostly like working with teams like the ICP hubs, for example, or Dfinity, to basically train them up and give them all the documentation that they need to become experts themselves, so that we, like our team, doesn't have to go everywhere. So ICP Hub Latin America has been so excellent to work with. Mostly the Zona 3 team. They are like one of the best teams ever. I've been working with ICP Hub North America as well.
Good guys.
Yeah, like doing some events in Canada, maybe in Washington a bit. Yeah, I think the idea is Demergent Labs is the core team. We want to provide the canonical information, make it extremely easy to find anything that you need, and get out of the way, because we want it to be a very open community, decentralized. I want leaders in the Azle community to rise up themselves and lead out, and not have to wait for, you know, Demergent. And like we don't have time to do everything either. So, yeah, we're mostly focusing on the core stuff, but we do go to conferences and you know, behind the scenes doing DMs and video calls and everything to answer people's questions and such on the Discord, etc.
I think that's what most people are doing. I'd love to hear that because I really want to see more developers utilizing this. I have some developer friends and family in my life that I've been working on to get onto ICP. They know traditional coding language. So there's so many people out there that could use this technology like in no time flat. They could just take the skills they already went to school to learn and start building on the internet computer. Now, is there any way to incentivize? So I know you guys are out there doing your outreach, you're doing everything you need to do. Is there any way to incentivize people? I know the Definity grant program, like you got your first grant, right? And a lot of people coming out of college they have the knowledge of grants, right? A lot of people that aren't in college don't really utilize grants very much. But besides like Definity, I know ICP Hubs does some things to support projects. They have incubators. What are you guys doing? Is there any incentives or reasons that people want to build on the internet computer?
I mean, we don't have like direct any kind of monetary incentives or anything. What we're really searching for is people with good ideas that can find product market fit. So people who can use the internet computer for what it's uniquely suited for. Unfortunately, at the moment, I alluded to this earlier, the internet computer, it can't support all software at the moment. There's a number of limitations that we need to overcome if we're going to become something like AWS, where you can truly take anything and just deploy it. So while that's the case, you can't just come and build anything. It's not good for everything. So we need to think, what are the unique value propositions of the internet computer? What can uniquely be built on this platform that will make the world a better place? And in many cases, I think it's decentralizing existing blockchain infrastructure. For example, the Bitcoin ecosystem or the Ethereum ecosystem, they have a lot of infrastructure that is just running on central servers, AWS or Google Cloud or whatever. ICP could be an excellent choice to make that code more transparent and more secure, less fragile. So, for example, the TAP protocol in the Bitcoin ecosystem, they're using ICP and they're using Azle actually to build their thing. There are a few other projects. Yeah, the TAP protocol is using Azle, which is pretty cool. There's a number of other Bitcoin projects that are using ICP, and so I guess to answer your question, we don't really have any kind of incentive program, but I'm hoping that the best incentive is, hey, you can come here if you want to build something in the blockchain space. Use the internet computer's unique capabilities. It can do its own native oracles. It can do HTTP requests in a decentralized and very secure manner. It can do threshold ECDSA. It can do threshold Schnorr. Use those capabilities, and you can use JavaScript to do it, or TypeScript, right? Just come. It should be very fast to pick up because you don't have to learn all this custom stuff.
So basically, people can come get a grant from Definity, use the coding language that you guys have, and then make a project that makes a lot of money. I think there's so many possibilities with ICP right now, and like you said, nothing is going to happen overnight. You said basically there's a lot of challenges to overcome, and not everything can be deployed on ICP yet. But that's why we need people like you in the community. We need people that are using your technology that you've built so that we can get this, kind of AWS platform that is utilized by multinational corporations, by your everyday Joe. And that's the future of the internet computer. That's how I see it. So I just want to thank you for coming today. If there's anything that you have coming up soon besides the Azle 1.0, let us know. If not, just tell people where they can find you and contact you at. All of his stuff is in the description for, I believe, Demergent Labs and Jordan Last on Twitter. But anywhere else, just let them know.
Yes, you have LastMJS is my main social media. Also on Discord or Telegram, I'm also LastMJS, so you can find me there. And then you can see basically everything we do on GitHub, github.com/demergent-labs. That's where you'll find the TypeScript SDK, the Python SDK, and most other projects that we're doing. So it's all open source. you know, we might maybe less than 1% of our code is closed source, and maybe none of it's actually closed source. I would have to check, but we love open source. So,
and that's perfect because, crypto is all about decentralization, and I think open source goes right along with that. And I know Dfinity's a big proponent of open source, which basically just means that people can, verify your code. They can, kind of see what it is and upgrade it if they want to. Not saying they can deploy it, but they can do a lot of interesting stuff with it. So I think open source is what also separates Internet Computer from a lot of different projects out there. So thanks again, man. I want to have you in on the channel in the future in I don't know, a couple of months when you have Azle 1.0, and then we'll just tell everybody exactly what's going on, man. Thank you.
Sounds great. Yes, thank you. Good to be here.
All right, guys. That being said, goodbye and good ICP. Bang!